Welcome to Gapology Radio with your hosts Mark Tinas and Brian Brockhoff, authors of the leadership development books Gapology, IMBAR, and Speed of Purpose. At Gapology, our purpose is to help leaders achieve their greatest potential. To learn more about our groundbreaking books and training services, visit our website, gapology.org.
Hey everybody, welcome to Gapology Radio. As you're planning your continuous learning efforts for the spring and summer, consider our online video-based e-learning course for Gapology. It makes a wonderful addition to any leadership development curriculum as it's quick and easy and to the point, leading your learners through all the elements, methods, and tips from our flagship book, Gapology. It's especially effective for those leading in a remote work environment. It's available through udemy.com, that's udemy.com, and a link can also be found on our website, gapology.org. And as for tonight, we wrap up our discussion on our second book, IMBAR, with a conversation on looking at yesterday to create today and produce a better tomorrow for all of our results and our careers. So let's go ahead and get the show rolling with Mark Tinas. Hey Mark, how you doing?
Hey Brian, I'm good. I survived a torrential downpour.
What? You had more rain in California?
Yeah, it wasn't expected, but it was crazy.
Oh,
lightning, thunderstorms, rivers of water.
Jeez.
But I made it for the podcast.
Oh, geez. Wow. Well, I'm glad you made it safe and sound. That's awesome. And we've got a great topic for everybody tonight. So it's interesting. So I've been teaching a lot lately on strategy, being strategic, planning, all those kinds of things. And last week's conversation that we had on what's your story when we're talking about the storyboard and IMBAR, it really got me thinking about strategy and reflecting on, our past to put together, tactics and methods and tools and things for today in order to create the future that we want. And it's interesting when you look at it through that lens. I think looking at yesterday, today, and tomorrow through that lens and seeing, the tools that we put together for IMBAR, I think fits in with all that. So I think it'd be really cool to just go through, we've really covered the storyboard in detail last week, but we can recap that real quick and then talk about current state IMBAR and then defining our future through our transformed state IMBAR and our plan for transformation. So that's kind of what I was thinking. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that'll work. I think a quick, review of IMBAR for everyone, and then jumping into that will be significant. So, can I jump right in then?
Yeah.
So most people that we work with, specifically on IMBAR, which is about designing your destiny, don't really think about the future much. They sort of let it happen. They don't understand that they can create it, that they design their destiny. And it's very common today. So this is a big deal, and it's a big miss, because if people are designing their destiny, it causes the organization they're in to grow, the community to grow, the individual to grow. It's a big deal. And we control so much, but we don't realize we control it. So IMBAR, for any of you that haven't heard of it before, is an acronym for the pathway of transformation. And that pathway, which Brian and I have discovered, is our identity, who we are, determines our mindset, how we think, which determines our behavior, what we do, which determines the actions of those around us. And that creates our results. So as a leader, this is incredibly impactful. So if you literally control your identity to achieve the results you intend, you can make some incredible things happen. So IMBAR works forward and reverse. So identity, creating mindset, creating behavior, creating action creates results. That's the traditional IMBAR. And we create maps with that. But what we found over time was that if we know the R which is the result that we want to achieve, we can actually work backwards in reverse and see how to get there. The other thing we can do, which is incredible with IMBAR, which we haven't done a podcast on, is to plug in an R, a result that was either great or was pathetic, and then work backwards to determine why. And the strength and the knowledge of learning the why changes everything, because you can then correct it for the future. So IMBAR is an incredibly powerful tool. It's not known by most people. It's not known by most leaders. And we've done a poor job of marketing it. We're not marketing experts. We assume everybody will love everything we do, but
Yeah.
and they love Gapology, but they haven't heard about IMBAR. You know, it's weird. Brian says it should have been called IMBARology, but that sounds like a drinking game or something.
I think it does.
So anyhow, that sort of is what we want to talk about tonight. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I think what you said about working in reverse, that is really the key to it. You know, I think it's harder for somebody to envision the identity that they want versus the results that they want. I think people are kind of, wired that way. They know the outcome that they usually, want to produce, but when you ask somebody, who do you want to be? What is that identity? People struggle with that. So I think the key really is working in that reverse order to define that.
It works for teams and for organizations as well, though.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we were working with a national phenomenon restaurateur, and we were in a meeting, and they knew the R. So we plugged in the R, and the R was outrageous. It was tenfold whatever they were doing. And we worked backwards from the R to the A. And since they were in the food business, we looked at the waiters and waitresses' behavior and plugged in the A. For the B, we plugged in the general manager's behavior. For the M, we plugged in the company's advertising campaign. And for the I, we plugged in what all of the executives would talk about and hold people accountable for. And we blew away the R. Totally blew it away. So this works in reverse for organizations, companies, teams, as well as individuals. It was quite amazing.
Yeah, the identity of an organization, I don't think people really think about that. They think about their mission and those kinds of things, but who are you as an organization? That's a pretty important conversation to have, and really, an important step to take to define that.
Yeah, it's a big deal. You got to be on purpose about it, and it's got to achieve your R.
Right.
But let's talk about the individual IMBAR. So we have done this with hundreds of executives, and what we like to begin with is a storyboard. And the storyboard allows someone to understand who they are. Now, that may sound crazy, but most of us do not really know who we are. We haven't thought about it. We haven't connected with it. And the storyboard that we complete with an executive or an emerging leader really helps them understand their current IMBAR. If you don't know your current IMBAR, you can't get to this transformed, future state. You can't design your destiny. So the storyboard's been incredibly powerful to just help people understand who they are. And the categories on that are I am, and we have the individuals speak to how they describe themselves. Quite fascinating and difficult, by the way, as you know, Brian.
Right.
So they often struggle with this one, but we get there. They then go to what you're proud of. This one brightens them up to the person. It's unusual. So they're able to speak to what they're proud of. So it all starts coming together there. We then have them list specific people successes. So people they've influenced, people they've developed, people successes that they can talk about. And that really causes a leader to think about, what really matters, what their role is, and how to impact the future. We then go to projects they've led, which is critical. And that one's fascinating to hear about specific projects that came together and those that didn't. We then have them come to grips with their learnings. What did they learn in all of this? How have they grown, in essence? And then we close with what they want their future to look like. Once the storyboard is completed, I am proud of people successes, projects led, my learnings, and my future. They are ready to fully understand their current state IMBAR. And we like to start with the current state before we get to this, who we're going to become, so that we can look at this transformation from this to this.
Yeah, I love the storyboard. So I think the storyboard is really the way it's laid out. It really does reflect our subject of tonight's podcast, which is yesterday, today, and tomorrow, because it does kind of encompass all of those things. It forces you really to look at, some of those things that from yesterday that you're proud of, the projects that you've led, the people successes, your learnings. Some of those things are really things that you've already gone through, right? So that's kind of your yesterday, your past. And then it forces you to look at today. So, who are you? I am. That's really focusing on today, and then my future really focuses on tomorrow. So I think that the blend of all these things in the storyboard really does set the stage for really a powerful current state IMBAR and a transformed state IMBAR. And then with that is that plan for transformation. That's the ultimate, action plan that happens from this.
Yeah, no, that's right on. So our original thinking was that we could just jump forward to the transformed state IMBAR. But we found that people were not connected with who they are and what their current IMBAR looks like and why they're succeeding or why they're failing currently. And until they can come to grips with that, they can't really look at the transformed state. So the current state IMBAR became this innovation that helps people get to their transformed state. So it's this critical step that seems to be missing in most organizations today.
People aren't ready for some of these deep conversations, these introspective activities, exercises, to look inside who you are. People aren't ready for that just right out of the gate. And so going through this systematically through the storyboard and then going through the current state, I think that does get you prepared mentally and emotionally for some of these tough conversations.
Yeah, exactly. So once the current state IMBAR, what your current identity is, mindset, what your current behaviors are, what the actions of your team are, and the results that come from that. Once that's understood, that creates the foundation to talk about who we want to become and the transformed state IMBAR. And that's where the incredible power comes in. And we, start with either the identity that you want to become, if you know that, if you can articulate that based on the current state, or we can literally go to the R, the results that you want to achieve, and work backwards. And the transformed state IMBAR comes together varied based on that individual's, point in time. And it becomes incredibly powerful, and it can come together either way. We wouldn't have known that initially. Initially, we always started with the identity. Who do you want to be? But it's interesting. Some people only know the R. They know the results that they want to achieve. This could be an organization. This could be an individual. Could be either one. But sometimes they only know the R. They can only see that. And it's incredible. If you know the R, the A, the B, the M, and the I are visible to you, and they can come from that. So it varies by individual. You need to determine for yourself what works. But the transform state IMBAR can come together in either of those two different forms.
Yeah, yeah. So I just want to share one thing that I think is super important for people to understand as you do this is the result and the identity that you define needs to come from you. So I think oftentimes we are pre-programmed to determine an R. Maybe it's something that our boss has given us as a result that they want us to achieve, or it's an identity that our parents or loved ones have given us. But to make this the most effective, the most powerful experience, you really need to define these things for yourself.
We found in a prior life that an organization was achieving. Let's plug in the R as 35. We won't tell you what the metric is, but we'll just plug it in as 35. That's what the organization expected. Brian and I took a look at that and said, okay, what if we plug in 50? And we plugged in 50. And we said, okay, what's the actions of the team, the behaviors of the leader, the mindset of the leader in the organization, and the identity that gets us to 50? And we were able to totally change the world because we plugged in a different R and we said, what if? And how do you get there? And IMBAR can come together for that. So don't be accepting of the organization's R, the result that they expect of you. It may not be the R that you can achieve. And if you can achieve something quite different in a positive way, of course, you can change everything.
Right.
You can change everything for the organization.
Yeah.
So don't just accept the R that you're handed. Brian, we expect 35 from you this year. Okay, Thanks, boss. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
If you want to be great.
Right.
So we found that you can plug in an R and figure out the rest, and it can come together.
Yeah, it's incredibly important that you're connected with it, on the inside. You have to really believe in it. You have to really want it. You have to really, be connected with it. Otherwise, you're never going to put all that work in. You're never going to strive for it. You're never going to push yourself to achieve the things that you're really capable of. And if it's always someone else telling you what to achieve, you're never going to feel that connection that's necessary.
Yeah, and you should question your identity in that case.
Yep.
Are you just a subordinate who says, yes, sir, yes, ma'am? Is that really who you are? Or do you want to say, we can do better? Absolutely. There's a different number out there. There's a different R out there that we can achieve. So we found that the greatest success stories come from when our IMBAR client says, I'm going to go for something quite different, something quite bigger. The boss doesn't always know what can be achieved. Maybe it's you that knows. Maybe it's you that can show it. And it's a total game changer for your career, for your life, for the organization you're with, for your peers. And if your peers are achieving 35 and suddenly you're saying 50 is the number and you're achieving 50, it changes everything for them. Think of what you can teach them.
The IMBAR mapping process, it's just such a beautiful vehicle to do all this, to actually lay it out, because you can picture it in your mind, but unless you get it down on paper and you define it and you look at it and you see, so what's going to go into all these different steps? What are the steps that are going to go into the B to do the behaviors? What does that look like? What do I really need to think and feel like as a leader? What are the defined actions of those around me, that I'm influencing or leading? what does that look like? Using the mapping process to define those steps, I think it's just a perfect vehicle to do all this.
One of our biggest frustrations in life, Brian and I, is that very few of you have read IMBAR.
That's for sure.
You've read Gapology.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you haven't read IMBAR. We named it IMBAR because that's, what it is. But it is absolutely life-changing. And, go find it. We didn't do it on Audible yet. Brian, is trying to find that time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian, for doing Gapology on Audible, and to Joe. Joe was incredible as Maddie. I hear that all the time, by the way.
I'll let her know.
She's much bigger star than you are.
Oh, absolutely.
So we didn't do IMBAR on Audible, but we know that it can change your life. It can change your organization. It can change your future. And when that happens, it changes everything. So the final step to IMBAR is we do a plan for transformation. So once the transform state IMBAR is developed, it's this map to your future. We say, okay, what's the drop down from that for each of the columns? What do you need to do? What do you need to do to change the I, to change the M, to change the B, to change the A, to change the R, to achieve this incredible outcome? So if you learn it, you become powerful within your organization, you become unique, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
So
yeah, one last point I just want to make on it, it's not an easy process. It sounds easy, sounds simple, but it really does require an open mind, a clear view of reality, and strong and determined action. It's not a one and done thing. It's really a living, breathing document that you'll continually update and adjust as things are going forward. Things that are not working, you're going to tweak and adjust and so forth. You're going to reinforce what is working. And, all this to really create some sort of momentum, to drive toward your destiny.
Well said. So
Thanks.
read IMBAR.
Yeah, read IMBAR and leave a review. We would love to see some more reviews too. If you do pick one of those up, we'd love to see that.
How would they contact us if they wanted more information about IMBAR, or if they wanted to talk about their IMBAR?
Yeah. So, two things. So first of all, to pick up the book, it's available on Amazon.com. Just go there and order it, or wherever you buy books, I guess, online. It's available online. So do that. The best way to get in touch with all that is through our website, gapology.org. We've got links to the books. We've got links to contact us if you want to do a personalized IMBAR session. We can absolutely do that as well. Just go to gapology.org and everything's right there.
Okay, cool.
All right, Mark. Well, this is a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. And again, your assignment, everyone out there, read IMBAR. Read IMBAR. Put down Gapology. Read IMBAR. You've already got Gapology down. Read IMBAR.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right. That'll do it from here. For more information on Gapology, IMBAR, or Speed of Purpose, head on over to our website, gapology.org. Everyone have a fantastic week. Talk to you soon.
This has been a Gapology Institute production. Visit us at gapology.org.